This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
Hello, I'm Dr. Zayas from the Planet of the Apes, of course. My favorite podcast to listen to is Talking Apes, even though it's hosted by filthy humans.
I'm a seeker, too. But my dreams aren't like yours. I can't help thinking somewhere in the universe there has to be something better than man. Has to be.
Oh, there is, Taylor. And that something is Talking Apes. Whether that means actual Talking Apes, or maybe just this podcast. Well, whoever it is Taylor is referring to, we want to say a big hello to all you chimps, gorillas, orangutans, and even you damn dirty humanoids. And a big hello to the many of you that we just recently met at the Planet of the Apes 50th anniversary screenings held at USC last month. If you are just joining us, let me catch you up. This is our spin-off show from Talking Apes TV, where we recapped and broke down each episode of the live-action and animated Planet of the Apes TV series. But since there are no more TV shows to discuss, we are now branching off and talking with authors, actors, and others in the ape fan community. Now, before we get into this episode, let me introduce my co-host and fellow ape, Marco Gushewitz.
Hey, Rich, you ready for today's episode?
Before we get into that, which one would you be? Are you a chimp? Are you a gorilla? Orangutan? Or are you a dirty humanoid? I'm sorry, a damn dirty humanoid.
I think I want to be a gorilla for one reason and one reason only.
I did not see that one coming.
So I can get one of those helmets, put it on my head, and know personally up and close why it doesn't come off Urko's head.
You know what? That's a great answer.
So.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick a dirty humanoid for myself because I don't like being dirty.
What about a clean humanoid?
That's a good argument, but you know what? I've always had a fascination with the chimps. They've always been very curious types, and I just love the way they move and talk. So you be a gorilla, I'm going to be a chimp.
Okay, and we know who will be in charge.
Yeah, the orangutan. Who's that going to be? You know what? That'll be Sarah and Angela Rushmere.
Yeah, but you know how I am on the show. I think I'm in charge, and
Yeah.
Isn't that the same with the gorillas?
You're very militant.
I don't know about that, but okay. Okay, so I know that we said on our last episode that we were going to be covering the Planet of the Apes 50th anniversary screenings just held at USC on this episode, and we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be deviating to something else instead. But we will be getting back to those screenings, and that's all of the screenings, including the Tim Burton film.
Oh, no. Really?
Yes.
Do we have to?
We have to. They're screening it. I'm really curious to see who shows up at the screening. Also, I believe that there's going to be a Q&A afterwards with Rick Baker, and I think that'll be really interesting, and we should cover that.
Yeah, and plus, Linda Harrison was going to be there, but then I just noticed her name was absent from the guest list, so I reached out to Alex Ago, who is the director of programming, and he confirmed that she had to cancel on this one. Not sure what's going on, but as you recall, she had to cancel her appearance on the Legacy panel held at the original Apes screening. Ugh. I was still looking forward to asking her to be on the show, but no worries, we are still working on bringing you Apes plenty of coverage of the 50th anniversary screenings and events.
Right, but as we continue to compile that episode, we wanted to bring our Ape listeners a conversation we had with filmmaker William Conlin regarding his upcoming documentary, Making Apes, the Artist Who Changed Film, and the many updates that he had regarding the project.
Now, there are so many great incentives. I know every Ape listener out there will want to jump on immediately, but they have to contribute to the Indiegogo campaign that will kick off on March the 21st, the week that this show airs. And now these funds are going to help finish the film. So, Mark, with that, let's now get into our conversation with William Conlin, the director of the documentary Making Apes, the Artists Who Changed Film. The last time we had a documentary that focused on the apes of the classic days was to commemorate the 30th anniversary. It was called Behind the Planet of the Apes, and it premiered on AMC and can also be found on the DVD box set.
Now, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary, filmmaker William Conlin is very close to finishing Making Apes, the Artists Who Changed Films, a documentary that features stories from a large array of artists involved in bringing the Planet of the Apes universe to life. Everything from the films to the live-action TV show.
Well, William is with us right now to tell you apes about how you can help finish this project and earn yourself some exciting incentives.
Hey, William, welcome to the show.
Good to talk with you. How's everyone doing?
We are doing great, and I was so looking forward to talking to you about this because when we had spoken at the USC screening of Conquer for the Planet of the Apes, you were telling me about all these exciting incentives, and I can't wait to dive into that. But for the ape fans out there who don't know the extent of Making Apes, can you tell us all about this project of yours?
Well, we are absolutely thrilled to bring this to you. This project is executive produced by Thomas R. Berman, who many of you fans out there know as being one of the integral people in the makeup of the original Planet of the Apes. He worked on the original, he worked on Beneath, he worked on Escape, and then throughout his life, he worked very closely with John Chambers, and he's really an icon in the apes community. I've known Tom for several years, and we got together about 2.5 years ago, along with Tom's wife, Barry. And we have been working on this documentary continuously. We've got the largest assemblage of makeup artists, I think, that has ever been in a single documentary. Not only people who worked on the original Apes film, but people who were deeply influenced. We have a lot of filmmakers who were deeply influenced by it, and some great film critics who can talk to the historical aspect of how apes really changed cinema. So we're getting ready to premiere that at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. So we're covering the whole 50th anniversary excitement, and we're just really thrilled to share this story with everyone.
When did you start Making Apes? When did you start shooting this and getting the idea?
You know, it's been about 2.5 years now. We actually started with some basic interviews with Tom, kind of getting his story down, and then realized, wow, this is going to be a huge story. So from there, we focused in on talking to the original Apes artists, Dan Strepek and Maurice Stein, who we sadly just lost not too long ago. We've talked with Fred Blau and Frank Griffin and Daryl McIntyre, just Bob Seidel, just a really great group of people who can speak to what it was like to be on set, working with all the actors and getting those appliances on, all the shenanigans that went on from film to film and through the TV show. There's just so many stories to tell.
Do you cover much of the TV series?
Well, Bobby Porter is in this documentary. Do you think I could stop him from talking about it? Of course we've got it in there.
So which makeup artist from the TV series do you actually speak with?
Yes, well, Fred Blau and Dan Strepek were both involved in that, and they did discuss that as well. So, we're talking about the entire franchise. We talk all the way up to, we actually have Gino Acevedo in the film who talks a little bit about the new films even. So we have the entire franchise history of Apes covered in here. So no matter where your Apes fandom lies, we've got you covered.
Do you have any makeup artists from the Return to the Planet of the Apes animated series?
There are no makeup artists on the animated series?
Yeah, if you can refer one to us, I'd be very interested in talking to them.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Now, you look too young to be really into the vintage apes, and I know I can't judge a book by its cover, but you look about 19 or 20. But yeah, you're so deeply entrenched in the vintage era, and I love this. So what made you want to do a project like this that focused on the classic era?
Well, I appreciate that. You can add a decade to that and you'll be in the right zone. But I have always been a classic movie fan my entire life. I actually studied both film production and film history. So this was a natural fit. I met Tom and Barry through the Santa Barbara International Film Festival. I'm their photographer for various events, and as well as having had films in the festival previously. And they always sat behind me at screenings and sure enough, we just started talking one day, and they started talking about all the movies they had worked on. And then he mentioned Tom mentioned Planet of the Apes, and I said, "Wait, so you knew John Chambers?" And from there, it was like the friendship sprung up, and listening to his stories. And I had been looking for a documentary project. I specifically wanted to do a documentary about Hollywood history, and they felt that they were ready to start telling this story as well. So everything just the puzzle pieces really fit together perfectly, and we all knew that this was the right story to tell and the right time to tell it.
And your family are all documentary filmmakers and filmmakers themselves, right?
We are, yeah. We do a lot of programming in the Santa Barbara area, down into LA. Documentary has been our passion for a very long time. I personally love telling stories that people don't otherwise know, or stories that they may know and want to learn more about. So we're very excited to be taking a deep dive into this world. I've been an Apes fan my entire life. I think I was probably 5 years old, watched the AMC marathons, and you start with one film and then it's 12 hours later and you've gone through the entire franchise, and you could just do it again from the start.
I think that was the marathon that re-sparked my interest in Planet of the Apes, the AMC marathon.
Yeah, oh, it was so great.
Yeah, and then that same weekend that they were running that marathon, I had gone to a convention and met Linda Harrison, and we became pen pals for a while.
Oh, that's so great. That's wonderful.
Now, when you were first starting to put this documentary together, who were the first alumni that got involved, that you were able to bring on board?
Well, obviously Tom was the first and foremost. We immediately sought out Dan Strepek, and Dan was our first external interview that we did, followed by Maurice Stein. We were so grateful to get him in there, especially now that he's gone, and he was just, such a vibrant spirit and had so many great things to say. From there, I believe we spoke with Fred Blau, Daryl McIntyre, Frank Griffin, Bob Seidel, which is great because that, of course, brings the Argo aspect into it. Both Tom and Bob were involved in the Argo mission, if you will. And then, from there, we were really fortunate because we got Lou Wagner involved, and we had been trying to get a hold of Lou, and we were having a hard time. And he had just done a short, and I found the contact info for the director, and he put us in touch with Lou. And when Lou came in for his interview, it was the first time that he and Tom had seen each other in 48 years.
Wow.
And that was a special moment. I mean, just to see the two of them embrace and talk, and it was like a day hadn't gone by.
Wow. How does that make you feel that you could bring these two classic ape alumni together?
This has been an emotional process. This entire film, there's a lot of great emotion in it. Bobby Porter was the exact same thing. Tom and Bobby worked together about 20 years ago, so it wasn't nearly as long. But again, it was a reunion, and Bobby brings so much emotion to the project. It's been amazing.
And how hard was it to start compiling all the footage and all the photos and everything that were going to be needed to really bring this whole documentary together visually with what was being said by these people as they told their stories?
It sure has been a process. It's still an ongoing process. Our upcoming archivist for the project, she's going to have her hands full, but we've had a great resource in the sense of the actual makeup artists opening their collections and offering things. Don Cash Jr. was not able to do an interview for the documentary, but he was able to provide us with his personal photo album, which was an Instamatic camera that he actually brought on the set and wasn't supposed to have on set, but he took behind the scenes photos for the bulk of the shoot, and some of them have been featured in Makeup Artist magazine, but I believe some of the photos are never before seen. We've got shots in there of the scene where Charlton Heston kisses Kim Hunter, and not only are they in frame, but you can even see the camera and Franklin Schaffner in the background. We've got scenes from when they're tying Dr. Zaius up. There's a lot of stuff from Ape City, and then there's some stuff from actually back in the makeup lab. So there's really incredible stuff that I don't think a lot of people have seen yet.
Wow, that's a selling point right there. Can you give us a preview of some of the high points so far in making Apes? What's the one part that's really getting you excited?
Well, it's hard to say just one, but I'll give you one that pertains to now and one that pertains to then. The one that pertains to back then is having all of these incredible artists together talking to each other, because not only did we do solo interviews with them, but every single time we had one together, we had Tom sit down with them and they just kind of chatted with each other on camera. And whether or not that makes it into the final documentary, we for certain are going to put that as a special feature out there, because these conversations are incredible. You're listening to icons of the makeup industry just, talking about projects they worked on together, projects they worked on separate, all the great classic actors that they worked with. I mean, we have people talking about when they worked with Clark Gable and Mae West when they were very young and the actors were very old. So, we're bridging a century worth of Hollywood here. In relation to where we are now with Apes, I'm so excited that one of our highlights of the film is that towards the end of the film, Tom and Vincent Van Dyke, who is one of the finest makeup artists working in Hollywood today, in my opinion, take Lou Wagner, they put him in the makeup chair, and they actually do a fresh take on what Lucius would look like as an old ape 50 years later.
Now, was that inspired by the interstitials that this public TV station did with Roddy McDowell when they made him up to look like an aged Galen to introduce the Planet of the Apes TV series?
Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Galen. Now, I'm so glad you could join me today. So let us go back and see what it was like. Back to the Planet of the Apes.
That wasn't our direct inspiration. It was simply a fact that when we did our first interview with Lou, he was so generous and so open, and he had actually brought with him one of his original prosthetics that he had kept, in a cool, dark place with powder on it, so it looked like it had just come out of the lab. It was in mint condition. We were just looking at him and looking at this, and we thought, hey, why don't we ask him if he's, just maybe willing to do it for fun, and he was on board instantly.
Wow. Now, was there one particular nugget of information that just knocked you off your stool as you're interviewing these people? Like, whoa, I didn't know that.
There are so many. I don't want to spoil too many things, but there are some really great stories about all the crazy stuff that went on in the makeup lab as they were going through production. I mean, these people worked 20-hour days, day in and day out with no break, and they were all over the place. One of my personal favorite stories comes from Bobby Porter, actually talking about working on one of the sequels, that they would all get on a school bus to go to the set, and when they would stop at a red light, they would open the door, and all the apes would run out of the bus and run around the block and scare people, and then just run back on the bus, and then they drive off, and people would be like, what just happened?
Now, I'm sure one thing that our fans are going to want to know is, were there any stories regarding the young gorilla that says it's a man in the original Planet of the Apes, and who actually played this character?
Well, for the last episode we had, Bobby Porter was on, and he had reached out to Tom Berman, and Tom Berman reached back out to him, to Bobby, and said that was Felix Silla.
Which is exactly what I'm going with, too. I trust Tom's word implicitly on that. I tried to talk to Felix about that at an event last year, but didn't get a definitive answer from him either, which I love. But Tom is pretty certain that it was. We actually have a picture of Werner Kepler, I believe, making him up, and I'm pretty sure it's Felix when you look at it.
And now, was this ever a conspiracy before we started bringing this up a couple of years ago? Did anyone else have an issue with this?
I hadn't heard about the issue because Tom was always certain that it was Felix, so I didn't know that there was actually a controversy about this, and I think this is interesting. And now I'm thinking about how I work it into the documentary.
Well, please, you know what? Bring us on. We'll tell you all about the doom that Gary Dubin put us through when he scammed me out of $10 for an autograph.
But we don't know that he scammed you out of $10.
He did. He got $10 out of me and said, "This is me and this still."
Well, once again,
wasn't him, so it was a scam.
No, once again, he could have been doing the voice, and then
that's not what he said.
And then signing the picture the way that James Earl Jones signs a picture of Darth Vader.
We went over this. Whole different issue.
It's an emotional point for Richard.
Sorry, William. Sorry you had to be here for this, but it is a very touchy subject.
I think it was actually a controversy that was kind of started on our show because we met Gary Dubin, and he told us he was this character, and that's kind of when the question kind of came up. So if you put it in your documentary, we'll be very flattered.
It'll be like therapy. I can finally let it go. But now, you know what? Getting back to Making Apes, did you shoot any of the film in any of the original locations out in Malibu?
No, we haven't. We haven't done anything on location. Most of our outside interview stuff we've done in the makeup labs, because we're trying to keep it geared towards makeup, because this is about, this is the film that changed makeup and the makeup industry. So we didn't, Roddy made that amazing documentary, and we don't want to step on that at all. But if you watch that documentary, there is about 90 seconds worth of makeup talk in it. There's a quick interview with John Chambers, and then it moves right on to the next thing. So what we felt is that for a film that changed the makeup industry, that changed cinema, and, I think was really one of the precursors to makeup getting its own Academy Award, with John Chambers receiving the honorary, we wanted to focus mainly on the makeup.
I gotta tell you that I'm really happy that you guys are making this documentary right now, because we're in a world where film is using so much CGI to do what makeup used to do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's real important to remember the past, the things that, led up to where we are. And I really hope that the art of makeup does not go forgotten. And to have a movie like yours coming out that says, no, we're not going to forget it. We're going to honor these people, even though a lot of this is done now with CGI. We're still going to honor these people now. I got to congratulate you for doing that.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to us, and that's something that we feel very strongly about as well. And that's why we have so many modern makeup artists in the documentary as well. We have, as I already mentioned, Vincent Van Dyke. We have Greg Nicotero. We have Howard Berger. We have Tom Woodruff, Alec Gillis. We have Matt Winston talks about, Stan Winston's relationship with Planet of the Apes, and how, all of Stan's work probably wouldn't have happened if he hadn't seen that movie back in '68. It really shows, of course, we have Rick Baker talking about it, Bill Corso, all the people who worked on the 2001 remake. And it shows you how one film and one moment in time kind of defined the next 50 years. And not many films can say that, I don't think.
Oh, not at all. Just having seen Battle for the Planet of the Apes up on the big screen, I did not see one seam line on Roddy McDowell's makeup where it blended into his skin. And I was so excited to talk to Tom Berman afterwards and say, where were these seam lines? Because I couldn't see anything. And he showed me exactly where they were. And like, dude, you know what? You deserve to be on a pedestal. Beautiful.
Oh, he certainly is. And at Monsterpalooza, I think people are going to see that as well.
Right. Now, how can us ape fans help you finish Making Apes? Because we definitely want to see this as soon as possible.
Yes, well, we are so grateful to have this vibrant fan base community out there, because, not a lot of films have that base, that incredible base. And I think one of my favorite aspects of the last 2.5 years is meeting the fans and talking to the fans. Last year at Monsterpalooza, we actually filled the theater. I'm hoping we will again this year, but we filled the theater. And I remember stepping out just to see what kind of line we had. I'm thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get 150 Apes fans are going to come maybe. And it was just wrapped around the block, and they were in cosplay and they were in t-shirts. There was a Dr. Zaius. I was nose to nose with Dr. Zaius. And it was an absolute thrill to see how many people were out there. And what I heard from all of them afterwards, they all started coming up to me. I was wearing a t-shirt with our poster on it, and they said, when are you doing a crowdfunding? When are you going to be offering stuff? I want DVDs, Blu-rays. I want the T-shirt you're wearing. Somebody wanted to buy the shirt off my back. So we started, conceiving this, because, what we also realized is that, through the help of the fans, we can make the film even better. So what we're looking for is we're looking for fan support to raise the funds that help us through post-production. This is for color and sound and composition, and most importantly, licensing. Obviously, we have to do some major licensing to make this happen, and we want to, really give the story its due. So on March 21st, 2018, we are going to launch our Indiegogo campaign. It's going to run for about a month and a half, and we are offering some incredible incentives, perks as they like to call it on Indiegogo. We have everything starting at $5, going all the way up to our big package. And would you like me to run through some of the things we're going to be offering?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I mean, right from the start, for $5, you can get a personal thank you video from Tom. He's going to thank the fans for all their support, and we're going to offer access to the blog where you can see updates about the process of the film. We'll probably throw some exclusive clips up there, maybe clips of classic makeup artists telling stories that don't really have a place in the film, but are great nonetheless. We're going to be offering a streaming copy at $25, which you can go online and watch it. We're going to be offering our Making Apes t-shirt, which I love. I wore it at Monsterpalooza last year. Like I said, people went crazy for it. What it is it's an original image from that collection of photos I was talking about earlier of Roddy on the Malibu beach wearing sunglasses. And in the sunglasses, we have images of John Chambers and Tom Berman in the lab working on the apes, and it's got Making Apes on the back. So we're going to be offering that at the $35 level. We're going to have the same poster at the $35 level. We're going to be offering the Blu-ray in a Blu-ray DVD combo pack at $50. You can have special thanks in the film for $50 as well. And then at the $100 level, I have something that I think some people are going to really enjoy. In our closing credits, we're going to actually feature fans in their apes cosplays. So for $100, you send us your picture in your favorite apes cosplay, and not only will your name be featured in the credits under the special thanks, but it'll also be a picture of you as an ape in the closing credits of the film, which I think ties back to, how important it is that the fans are what made this franchise what it is.
Right.
From there, we've got some really nice upper tier levels. We're doing personal Skype sessions with Tom where, you can have a half-hour video chat with Tom. You can talk to him about his career, about all the movies he's worked on. He'll give you some backstory. And all these things include all the things under it, like the T-shirts and the Blu-rays and all that. So if you start spending $200 or up with us, you're going to get a really nice package of stuff relating to the film. We're going to offer a screening here in Southern California, and depending on how well that sells out, we might offer some in some additional cities. That'll be, of course, when the film comes out at the end of this year, beginning of next year. Tom is actually creating some original artwork, which are his kind of modern art pieces of all of his favorite characters in the film. So Dr. Zaius and Zira and Cornelius and Ursus from Beneath. So he's going to do these beautiful original art pieces. We're going to offer a limited edition series of prints of those, and then we're also going to offer the actual one-of-one original at a slightly higher level. And then we get into our absolute top tier, which I'm really excited about because we've got some amazing things here for makeup and apes fans. We have, starting at $1,000, we only have 6 of these available. We have a original John Chambers makeup kit, and what we've done is we've taken one of his makeup jars and one of his brushes, and we've put them together into a display. So for $1,000, you will have 2 original pieces, a jar and a brush from John Chambers makeup kit, and he was meticulous with every single item. Every single item says either John or JC on it, and that'll come with a letter from Tom Byrne authenticating it. That includes, of course, all the credit and large print special thanks in the film, the Blu-ray T-shirts, everything. After that, we're offering some personalized experiences, a studio tour and lunch with both Tom Berman and Bobby Porter right here in Hollywood, where you get to just talk their ears off all day, and they get to tell you stories and maybe sign a few autographs and take some photos along the way.
Who are we kidding? Bobby Porter's going to talk their ear off. And it's worth it, too. He's got some great stories.
And we are not putting a time limit on that. If you want to have lunch until it's dinner time, then just listen away, because Bobby has a million stories to tell.
Yeah. As you can tell on the last episode of Talking Apes.
He's a really great person to listen to. He's amazing.
It's not just apes, too, because, he doubled for every child actor in Hollywood. He did Terminator. He had his arms around Steve McQueen in The Towering Inferno. He's up the Christmas Tree in Poseidon Adventure. As a film geek, he's the thread of classic cinema.
And what was the most important thing he ever did? He was the stunt coordinator on Prancer.
Oh, that too.
That's literally my all-time favorite holiday film, and he was the stunt coordinator on it, and we talked about it.
And he was Arno and Remus and that little
yeah, all that
TV
stuff
series.
too.
All right. So now let's.
Just that.
All right. So where were we?
Yeah. From there, we have one more package we're offering to only 6 people. We only have 6 extra of these, but what we did when we started this project is Tom Berman's son, Max, who's an incredible artist in his own right, created a beautiful black and white digital print of Roddy in makeup. And we've had every single person who's been interviewed for the film sign a number of them. And what that originally was conceived of is that was going to be our gift to each of the people for being a part of the film, but we did enough extras that we can offer 6 of them to specific fans. And talking about this poster does not do it justice. I want you to imagine a beautiful black and white of Roddy as Cornelius, signed by 45 people. I think there's a combined 100 Emmy Awards, 40 Academy Awards, Rick Baker, V. Neal, Tom Berman, Barry Berman. The list is longer than you could even name. There's directors on there, including Richard Donner and Joe Dante. Leonard Maltin has signed it. I mean, this is a true centerpiece for somebody's autograph collection if they're a film buff. And we're offering 6 of those. After that, we're getting into the real discerning collector's position. Tom is going to take the original gorilla head mold, which is what he also used in the movie Argo to create the gorilla heads that are seen in John Chambers' trailer in the movie Argo. And he's going to create a series of replicas with hand-laid hair, and it's all hand-done by Tom Berman himself. It's going to be in a display with a plaque signed by Tom. We're limiting that to 6 as well. And then our top 2 are Cordoba packages. We have the original screen-used prosthetic that Maurice Evans wore in Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and that will go along with an associate producer credit on the film. That will go to somebody. And then our number 1 item, which along with a associate producer credit, pieces from John Chambers' makeup kit, we have the original screen-used gorilla prosthetic from the courtroom scene in the original Planet of the Apes. This is the gorilla that throws Charlton Heston to the ground, and his prosthetic was so unique, they actually used his picture on the cover of the 1968 tie-in paperback novel. So this is a original screen-used piece of Apes history.
Wow. Can you give us a price point on that one?
That is going to be $20,000. So you get the prosthetic, associate producer credit, pieces from John Chambers' makeup kit, the poster signed by every single person who's been involved in the film, the Blu-ray, the DVD, the streaming copy, the T-shirt, everything just straight down the line. You get one of everything.
So, Rich, grab your checkbook.
Wait, hold on. Do you also get a partridge in a pear tree?
We'll find one for you.
For $20,000, yeah, definitely. Wow. Now, the money that you're raising, which I have no doubt you're going to raise, what are we talking about? What is the max you'd like to get?
Well, the thing about this is the more that we get, the more we can do. We've set our goal on the project at $100,000. That is the minimum that we are hoping for to get the project where we want it to be. If we can get to 200,000, then it just, increases the amount of work that we can have done. That we can have this done by Technicolor, so it'll look just as gorgeous as the original film on screen. We can have more clips licensed. We can actually examine getting the Jerry Goldsmith score involved into the project. So the sky is really the limit, and we're hoping that we can just, bring in as much as possible to do as much as possible on the film. Not a single dollar will go to waste on this project.
All right, you know what? I think that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And when you consider what you're getting on some of these packages, now we know, a lot of people don't have $20,000 hanging around, but for that grouping, we're hoping that there's just one great Apes fan out there who wants a centerpiece for their collection. They've been holding out for something that really means a lot to them, and this will become their pride and joy.
Maybe for a $30,000 incentive, Bobby Porter can reenact the scene in Battle for the Planet of the Apes where Aldo runs him off the tree.
I think he'd be open to that.
You think? I know he'd be open to it.
He's a stunt coordinator, of course. Hey, Bobby, do you want a net? No. What do I look like? Do I look like a novice? Hey, am I a digital stunt man? No, I can fall in the cement.
You know what Bobby said to us the first day that we asked him to come in on the film? He said, "Now you're stuck with me." And I couldn't be more grateful.
And he wasn't lying either.
Yeah. Bobby is just, he's like one of my best friends now. Love that guy.
Yeah, he's the best.
Now, I know you're going to have a big presence at the upcoming Monster Palooza this April 13th through the 15th in Pasadena, California. Tell us what we can expect when we see you there.
Yeah, we are thrilled. We've got 3 days of fantastic ape stuff going on throughout the entire convention. If you come to the Making Apes booth, we are booths 335 and 336. So we've got this great, huge booth. Throughout the entire weekend, we are going to have 4 original screen-used costumes on display. We have from the original Planet of the Apes, we have Dr. Zaius, we have Cornelius, we have Zira, and I believe our 4th one is going to be Buck Cartelian's Gorilla. They are the original screen-used costumes. On Zira's chest piece, it actually has the little note of paper sticking out of it, and they're on these incredible, hand-done sculptures of the characters. So we're going to have those on display, and by coming to our booth and supporting the Indiegogo campaign, you can take a photo with them, you can take a photo with Tom Berman with them, and you can really enjoy the majesty of these original pieces. They're in just stunning condition for their age. So we're really excited to have those. On Saturday, the main day, if you come over to our booth starting at 11 a.m., Vincent Van Dyke and Tom Berman are going to be putting Lou Wagner into the old Lucius makeup live at our booth. It's going to be a several-hour process, so you can peek in and see where the process is going. And then for the rest of that day, Lou is going to be doing photo ops and autographs as Lucius. And then on Sunday, we have our panel. It's going to be in the main theater at 11:30 a.m. We have Tom, we have Lou Wagner, we have Bobby Porter, we have Matt Winston, Vincent Van Dyke, and Scott Essman, and I will be moderating that. We're going to be talking about the documentary, Apes, its legacy, where it's going from here, and just all sorts of fun. And then after that, we'll be back in the booth for the rest of the day as well, so you'll have plenty of time to talk with us and learn more about the project.
And we are so grateful for people like you and for Boom Comics and everyone who keeps the vintage apes alive. So thank you very much for all of this. Now, tell us where to go when we want to invest in Making Apes. Where do we go on Indiegogo? Is there a specific website we should know?
It is going to be on Indiegogo, and we're hoping we'll get highlighted onto their homepage. For more information right now, before we launch, you can go to our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/makingapesdocumentary. We're going to be launching a separate website very soon, but that Facebook page has kind of been our home base since we started the project. You can also follow us on Instagram @makingapes.
And how long will the Indiegogo campaign run for?
It's going to be 45 days, I believe, so we'll be ending in early May.
Okay, so Mark, we have 45 days to get up $30,000 so we can reenact that scene with Bobby Porter.
I just want the $20,000 because that is an amazing package.
All right, fine, then I'll be Aldo, and you be the one to catch Bobby Porter.
We can reenact it ourselves.
Speak for yourself.
And we're also gonna pepper some things into the campaign along the way. There's going to be a few one-off specials that we'll offer just to keep people on their toes. But this starting level, these 18 tiers that we're offering to begin with, we're absolutely thrilled because we think this is exactly what Apes fans are hoping for.
Oh, I'm sure the ape fans like Richard and myself are counting down the days until they can see the film. Can you tell us once again when you believe the film will be completed?
Our target completion for the film is going to be September. We're going to look to premiere it in November. That would be the exclusive premiere level, which is part of the Indiegogo campaign. That'll be a Southern California premiere. And, if that one sells out right away, we might offer some additional ones. We might offer them in a few other cities. So it's totally up to the fans to determine the breadth in which we offer that. We're targeting March is when we'll offer the Blu-rays and DVDs that people are going to get in the campaign because we're going to need a little extra time on that. We're producing a whole ton of special features that are going to go on there, so you get hours and hours of Apes content. And then we're going to try and put this into some film festivals. So hopefully you can come around the country and the globe and see the film at your local film festival.
And you're talking September for completion of this year?
Yes.
Oh, wow. And then the DVD coming in 2019?
Yes, exactly.
Well, you got some work to do, but
We
you know
do.
what? That's why we wanted you on the show, to make sure all the apes out there know about making apes and know about the Indiegogo incentives starting March 21st.
But don't you realize that we're distracting him away from his work?
That's true.
He's got to get on this thing.
That's very, very true.
Well, the honest truth is, I'm actually doing this interview with you. I'm standing in a makeup studio, so I'm right where I need to be, and couldn't be happier that you guys took the time to talk about this. And I want to thank you both so much.
So, Mark, what do you think about that? Tell me which incentive piques your interest the most.
I want all of them. I want to find a way to come up with $20,000 so I can get all of them.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should put together $30,000 and reenact that Bobby Porter Battle for the Planet of the Apes scene. I know he'll be up for it.
To be honest with you, as he was rattling off the long list of incentives, the thing that kept running through my head is, oh my God, there's more? How awesome is this? There's more? There's more? He just kept going with more and more, and I just can't believe what they're offering. There's just so much, and it's all really great stuff.
The fact that you can get an actual makeup kit from John Chambers? Oh my goodness! That right there blew my mind. And an actual prosthetic used in the film that they also used on the paperback cover of the book, of the novelization. I just want to know how that foam survived, because having worked in that special effects industry and having run foam like that, you get maybe 2 weeks out of it before it starts to crumble. So I really want to know how that particular appliance survived, and I would love to have that.
Right. Well, I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to the documentary, which I feel is like way overdue. It's been so long since we've had a real documentary on the Apes films, and with the rebirth of the interest of the films with Rise of the Planet of the Apes and Dawn and War as well, this is like the perfect opportunity to really have a filmmaker sink their teeth into the behind the scenes of this universe. Yeah,
and that last documentary that was included in the DVD box set, that was 1998. 1998. Way too long. 20 years is just way too long. So, yeah, I cannot wait to see this. And having seen just a little bit of it, William showed me on his phone a couple of clips. Oh, my goodness. Just unbelievable. Having Lou Wagner in old age ape makeup blows my mind. And I can't wait to go to Monsterpalooza and see that in person.
All right. Well, let me ask you this. That last documentary that was included in the box set, you said 1998, but was it made in 1998? Do you know?
Yes. Yeah, it first aired on AMC, and then it was included in the DVD box set.
Right. So it's been 20 years, and there's so much to explore with this universe. I personally think it's the universe. Everybody's talking about the Marvel universe and the DC universe and all these universes. And when I look at, going from the very first movie through the TV series all the way through War of the Planet of the Apes
and Return to the Planet of the Apes. Why did you forget
and
that? And the
animated series. And
we spent a year and a half on that. How did you forget about it?
I didn't forget about it. I just didn't really feel like I had to list everything. I'm including the whole entire universe in this. There's so much that's ripe to talk about and so much that's there to explore that I feel has gone unexplored. And now with Making Apes, I've seen a lot of these pictures now popping up on the internet that I've never seen before. Some people are posting them on our Facebook page, and it's like, wow, I've never seen this stuff before. I want to hear the stories behind these pictures.
Oh, well, we will.
And then talking to William, he talks about pictures that have never been seen before.
Well, like he said, he got pictures from the actual actors and makeup artists that they just happened to have taken behind the scenes right then and there, just for their own personal use. And now those are all coming to us.
We should stop talking about it right now, because the more we talk about it, the more I'm realizing I don't want to wait any longer for this documentary. I want it kind of like right now.
All right. Now, as a reminder to everyone, we will be back with our coverage of the 50th anniversary of the Planet of the Apes screenings held at USC. But to see some videos of the panels, the Q&As, and ape cosplayers roaming the exhibit hall, go to our Skywalking Through Neverland YouTube channel. You'll see lots of great stuff and great stuff to come.
Well, while we were at these panels, we made some really great contacts, including Austin Stoker. So many questions to ask him about playing Jeff in Return to the Planet of the Apes.
I did get a chance to ask him during the Q&A about that. And at that point, he hadn't seen the series just yet. So we got to find out. So we have to send him a copy. Before we talk to him, we got to send him a copy of this DVD.
He hasn't seen the show.
He hasn't. I'm sure he did all those voiceovers in like a day and a half and moved on to his next project. And of course, we will ask him questions about Battle for the Planet of the Apes. But wouldn't it be funny if we just focused on Jeff from Return to the Planet of the Apes? Well, hilarious.
There's enough we could ask him about that.
Yeah, we can. All right, Mark, with that, let's now move into Listen to the Apes. Well, Mark, we got a really great message here from Michael Clark on Facebook. And Michael writes, "Hi there. Wanted to say how much I enjoy this podcast. I just stumbled upon it and I am hooked. Loved the TV series since I was a kid. You guys do such a great job. Wondering if you have done any shows on the 2001 remake. Well, not yet, but might be coming." Then Michael goes on, "Curious to know where that lies on your scale." Depends on what kind of scale you're talking about. I'm going to say of all the ape properties, that goes on the bottom. All right, then Michael continues. "Also, not sure if this has been reconciled, but on an episode I recently listened to, you had said you were confused by Pete referencing a person named Jonesy from back home. Well, yeah, Mark, after we had expressed our confusion for Jonesy, we got quite a few emails and Facebook messages telling us who Jonesy was.
More than quite a few.
Yeah. He was the third astronaut who died in the crash at the beginning of Escape from Tomorrow from the Planet of the Apes TV series. You know what? He was mentioned once and we saw like 2 shots of him. So, sorry. Sorry, Jonesy. And then Michael continues, "Well, hope to hear more episodes soon, if for no other reason but to finally uncover the long-buried truth about Urko's helmet and how it never falls off."
That's why I want to be a gorilla, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, because then I'm a soldier. Hopefully I can work my way up the ranks and get that helmet. Put it on my head. See why it doesn't fall off.
I can see it now. Hey, Urko, you know what? I worked these last 10 years just so I could... can I see your helmet for just a second? Just 1 second. You know what? Trust me, okay?
My fear is this, that I would have that meeting where they're going to promote me up and Urko will be sitting there and telling me that I'm getting this promotion. I'll be like, "Oh, great. Can I have the helmet now to put on?" And he'll be like, No. Only I wear this helmet. You get this other little cheesy helmet."
Yeah. Now go outside with Jason and pet the horses. All right. You know what? At that point, I had asked Michael where he found us. And he wrote back and said, "I searched for Planet of the Apes podcast on iTunes and you guys popped up." Now, side note, Mark, I did a search on Google for Planet of the Apes podcasts. We were the first show to pop up. So proud of that. And then Michael continues once again, "You guys have kept me company on a long daily commute for the last week and a half. I work on the reboot of MacGyver, and our stage is 90 minutes from my house." So you can probably get through one show there and back. "Please know you have an avid and devoted listener in me. Can't wait to hear more episodes." Well, if you're just on the live action series, Michael, plenty of episodes to come. All right, Mark, with that, do you want to read this iTunes review?
Okay, so we got a iTunes review from AU83, and he wrote, or she wrote, "Great for Apes fans and a great look at an underappreciated series." I am kind of curious. Are they talking about the live action series? Are they talking about the animated series? Are they talking about the whole series, including the movies? Just the whole thing as a whole?
You know what? The animated series is very underappreciated, so I'm going to go out on a limb like Cornelius in Battle for the Planet of the Apes and say they're talking about the animated series.
Right, but remember, the reason we started the podcast was because we felt that the live action series was also really underappreciated.
Right, but if they had just listened to the whole series of shows, then that means they just finished on the animated show. But, we don't know until we hear back from AU83. But there's something else I want to figure out, Mark. Now, whereas that review titled Beware the Beastman, they gave us 5 stars. Well, we got another iTunes review titled Entertaining, Philosophically Sophomoric with 3 stars by SMKI. Now, SMKI writes, all right, sit down for this one. This is an entertaining podcast and quite good when the subject matter is the actual movies and series, but when venturing off into the more serious philosophical questions raised by the movies, the hosts of this podcast are just not up to the task. In the first episode, there is no discussion whatsoever as to the question of animal versus man, the rationality, and other related matters in actual reality. Okay. The podcast eventually turns from entertaining to a sophomoric argument. For unequivocal animal rights. 5 stars for when they actually discuss Planet of the Apes, and 2.5 stars for the lack of rational argument when they turn to philosophizing. Mark, comment.
This is an interesting email, and I listen to everybody's comments and I take everybody's comments seriously, and I do have a response to this, but I actually, before I give you my response, I want to know what you thought.
Well, I want to ask SMKI, have you heard any more shows past that first episode? Now, in a time when there is so much infighting amongst fans of franchises, well, we wanted to focus on the fun. Now, if you want the intellectual conversations that it appears that you want, well, there are tons of other means to get that, such as I want to recommend Eric Green's book, Planet of the Apes as American Myth, and that deals with race and politics, and you know what? There you go. That should keep you plenty satisfied. Now, for you and me, Mark, this had more to do with hitting that nostalgic nerve in a very experimental way. This was a chance to revisit the series that made us so happy as kids and to see if it still held up. And I know I am happy to say that these series made me just as happy as an adult as when I was a kid. So, SMKI, I want to thank you for at least listening to that very first episode.
Right. I like to listen to what all the listeners have to say, and I like to kind of mull it over before having a response. So when I saw this, I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I thought about it. And I, like you, have to wonder if SMKI has heard any of the episodes other than the first, which, for people who may have forgotten, was basically our overview on the 5 films. And if not, maybe he doesn't get exactly what we're trying to do with this podcast. We talked about this a lot before doing the podcast, what we wanted to do, what we didn't want to do, and we came up with kind of a plan. And the idea wasn't to become a schoolroom lecture discussing the social relevances and deeper meanings of the movies and TV shows, but instead to maybe just have fun, like you were saying, talking about what we loved about apes, the stuff that stands out to us, the things that we related to and enjoyed. For in-depth questions about animals versus man and stuff like that, I mean, that's what he said, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You can get that on any other podcast or discussion, and we want it to be different. There's a lot of podcasts out there, movie podcasts, where they'll take one episode and discuss Planet of the Apes. And that's the kind of stuff that they talk about. But we wanted to be different. We wanted to personalize it more. Some of that kind of stuff does still come out in our discussions, but that's when it was appropriate to the particular show episode we were watching, and it was relevant to the particular feelings we personally had towards those shows. But for me, at least, what I chose to talk about was always the things that I personally connected with, as opposed to what the creators of the show may have intended. And I think there's a difference, because the creators of the show may intend one thing, but because I'm bringing baggage that's called my life and experience I've had in my life to my watching experience, I may interpret it very differently than what the creators had wanted. And so I wanted to talk about how I interpreted the show and the things I connected to with the show. And so hopefully that's what the listeners are getting out of it. And then another thing is SMKI is commenting on the first show where we were just kind of getting started with the podcast and we were still trying to discover what the show needed to be. And I can only hope that the shows got better as we continued on and learned more about what our fans wanted and what they enjoyed.
Well, first and foremost, we knew it had to be fun. That was it, because after you have a hard day, a long day, you don't want something so heavy. You want to have some fun with this. And Planet of the Apes, the TV series, the animated series, they were fun.
But we also talked about some of the things that were a little bit more serious. Like we had a listener who keyed in on the idea of Jason petting the horse and what that really meant. But I didn't do that because I thought that's what the filmmakers were going for. I talked about that stuff because I really liked it and it really, really kind of appealed to me on a personal level. And so I wanted to talk about it. I didn't want this to become a schoolroom kind of situation. For me, I wanted to personalize it. That was key to me. And I think that by personalizing it and saying, this is what I love about the show, this is what I noticed about the show, this is what really, caught my attention about the show and how I interpreted it, it opened it up to a more personal and more fun and more passionate kind of conversation.
Well, check this out. I looked into SMKI's history, and he's given us the best review of all the podcasts he's reviewed. He's given 1 stars and 2 stars to other shows. He gave us 3 stars.
Well, I'm wondering if he just wants that more intellectual conversation. And to tell you the truth, there's nothing wrong with that. It just means that our show's maybe not the show he should be listening to, and he should seek out the shows that do that.
Right. Here. And another reason why we decided to do the show was because that a lot of ape fans did not know about the TV series. So we thought if they love the movies, let's give them an introduction and then lead that into the TV series.
Right. And so I also invite SMKI to listen to more shows and understand what we're doing more. And if he still doesn't like it, that's fine, because everybody has their tastes and what they're looking for. But if he gives a little bit more attention to some of the later shows when we started to kind of get in our groove and understand more what our listeners wanted, maybe if he starts listening to those episodes, he'll start getting into it more. And once he starts understanding what we're doing, he'll start getting into it more. And I would like him to let us know. If he does that, I'd like him to let us know what he thinks. And if he still feels we're 3 stars, if maybe it gets less, or maybe he decides to give us more.
All right, Mark, with that, let's wrap up this episode of Talking Apes. Thank you once again for coming back and listening to this episode. We want to give a huge thanks to William Conlin, the director of Making Apes. And if you haven't already, go over there to Indiegogo.com and start contributing to his campaign for the finishing funds.
Oh, and by the way, Rich, I just want everyone to know that he let me call him William. I didn't have to call him Mr. Conlon.
That's an E.C. Gaskett reference, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
All right. So once again, the campaign kicks off March 21st, 2018, which is this week. So apes, get to it. And we also want to give a huge thanks to Angela Rushmere, who's been doing a great job on our Facebook page. She posts a lot of rare pictures, too. I don't know where she's finding these. And we also want to thank Rob Dellinger, who composed all the original jingles you'll hear on Talking Apes. Please check out Rob's work at his website, robdellinger.com. That's ROBDEHLINGER. And want to give a huge thanks to my sweetie wife, Sarah, who helps post the show every week. Thank you very much, everyone. Now, please, everyone, go over there to iTunes and write us a review, or just peruse the ones that are already there. But we do want to hear from you. We want to hear if this is the show you're looking for. If you have any comments, we want to hear that. We're not going to tell you to leave 5 stars. You leave as many stars as you like, or as very little. But we really want to hear what you think of the show. If you want to email us, please email at apestv@skywalkingthroughneverland.com. You can tweet at us at Talking Apes TV, or just go over there to Facebook and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Talking Apes TV. And please share it with a friend. Mark, in the last, I think, 2 weeks, we've gotten 30 likes on Facebook, which is more than we've gotten in 2017. So people, thank you very much for liking us.
Well, hopefully now that Michael Clark is on board listening to the show, all of his MacGyver friends will start listening to the show.
And we'll do a MacGyver podcast. Oh.
Oh, well.
I've never seen the show, so I can't.
I haven't seen the reboot yet, although I want to. It looks interesting.
Now, if you haven't already, please join me and my wife Sarah on our Star Wars Disney podcast, Skywalking Through Neverland, on RetroZap and skywalkingthroughneverland.com. So until next time, when we give you complete coverage of the 50th anniversary of the Planet of the Apes screenings held over there at USC, this is Richard.
This is Mark.
And we'll see you then. Now go ape!
I'm a seeker, too. But my dreams aren't like yours. I can't help thinking somewhere in the universe there has to be something better than man. Has to be.
Hey, William. Welcome to Talking Apes. Talking. I can't say hey just once anymore, thanks to you. And you can put that in the bloopers. Now, do you think he'll actually approach Bobby Porter with your idea for the $30,000 incentive?
Well, you know what? If he doesn't, I will. And if I had my phone right here, I would definitely text him and say, "Hey, Bobby, we got an idea for you." So I think, like you said earlier, Bobby is game. He'll do it.
Music. Okay. Just a word of warning before I get into this. I have not been recording this, so you're not going to have a backup. I just realized.
That's okay.
I'm Dr. Zayas from the Planet of the Apes, of course. My favorite podcast to listen to is Talking Apes, even though it's hosted by filthy humans.